Picture this. You are driving in heavy rain. The sky is gray, the road is shiny, your coffee is shaking like it just heard bad news, and suddenly your windshield turns into a blurry aquarium. What do? Easy. You flick a switch, swipe, swipe, swipe. The road comes back. Problem solved. Now imagine the same situation, but windshield wipers do not exist. No switch, no rubber blade, no satisfying swipe. Just rain, snow, mud, and your face slowly realizing, oh no, I am the technology now. Before windshield wipers, drivers often had to stop, open windows, reach outside, or wipe the glass by hand. It was cold, dangerous, and honestly a little ridiculous. And the person who looked at this mess and said, there has to be a better way, was a woman named Mary Anderson. Welcome back to the channel where we dig up the brilliant people history tried to leave in the glove compartment. Today we are talking about Mary Anderson, the hidden woman behind the windshield wiper. If you have ever driven through rain, snow, fog, or that mysterious brown splash from a truck in front of you, you have benefited from an idea that people once dismissed as unnecessary. Yes, unnecessary. The thing that helps drivers see was once considered not commercially valuable. That is like saying, seatbelts, cute, but do people really need to stay inside the car? So buckle up, because this is the story of a woman, a snowy streetcar, a very obvious problem, and an invention that the world ignored until it became impossible to live without. To understand why Mary Anderson mattered, we need to visit the early 1900s. Cars were still new. Streetcars and trolleys were common in cities. Roads were rough. Traffic rules were still developing. And vehicles looked like someone attached wheels to a fancy wooden chair and said, transportation. Windshields existed, but they had a major flaw: weather. Rain, snow, sleet, mud, dust, and ice could cover the glass. And when that happened, the driver had very few options. They could stop the vehicle and clean the windshield by hand. They could open a window and reach outside. Or they could keep going and hope destiny had excellent eyesight. Basically, early driving in bad weather was less smooth commute and more high-stakes guessing game with a steering wheel. Mary Anderson was born in Alabama in 1866. She was not a famous automotive engineer. She was not running a giant car company. She was a businesswoman, a real estate developer, and the kind of person who noticed details other people accepted as normal. And that is important because great inventions do not always begin in laboratories with dramatic music and glowing machines. Sometimes they begin with one person sitting in a vehicle, watching someone struggle and thinking, why are we all pretending this is fine? Mary had curiosity, practical intelligence, and the confidence to follow an idea. She did not need to be part of the automobile industry to see a problem in transportation. She just needed eyes, common sense, and apparently much better problem-solving skills than everyone who thought frozen windshields were simply a lifestyle. The famous turning point happened when Mary Anderson visited New York City around the winter of 1902 to 1903. Imagine New York in winter. Busy streets, cold air, snow falling, people bundled up, and everyone walking like the sidewalk personally betrayed them. Mary was riding in a streetcar. Inside, passengers were trying to stay warm. Outside, the weather was doing its best impression of a freezer with attitude. Then Mary noticed the driver. Snow and ice kept building up on the windshield. To see the road, he had to open the window or stop and clear the glass manually. Most people might have thought, poor driver. Mary thought, this is a design problem. That tiny difference is where invention begins. This is one of the funniest things about history. People can live with a terrible solution for years and call it normal. Driver cannot see, open the window, still cannot see, stop the vehicle, still freezing? Well, that builds character. But Mary saw the absurdity. If the problem was on the outside of the glass and the driver was on the inside, then the solution needed to connect both worlds. The driver should be able to clear the windshield without stopping, without leaning into the weather, and without becoming part of the weather. Today, that sounds obvious, but obvious ideas are only obvious after someone invents them. Before that, they are usually called strange, unnecessary, or not how we do things. When Mary returned home, she did not just complain about the problem, she worked on a solution. Her idea was beautifully practical, a mechanical arm with a rubber blade on the outside of the windshield, controlled by a lever inside the vehicle. The driver could move the lever and the blade would sweep across the glass, clearing snow, ice, sleet, or rain. It was hand-operated, not automatic like modern wipers. No electric motor, no speed settings, no dramatic squeak when the windshield is too dry and the wipers sound personally offended. But the heart of the invention was there. Clear the windshield while the driver stays inside. Warm hands, better visibility, less chaos, a simple motion with a huge impact. Mary took the next serious step. She applied for a patent. On November 10, 1903, she was granted U.S. Patent number 743801 for a window cleaning device for electric cars and other vehicles. Window cleaning device may not sound exciting. It sounds like something you would buy from a late-night commercial after hearing, but wait, there is more. But this patent was important. It described a device that could remove snow, ice, or sleet from the windshield. It included a lever, a spring-loaded arm, a rubber blade, and a mechanism to keep the blade against the glass. In other words, Mary Anderson had patented the core idea behind one of the most common safety features in modern transportation. At this point, you might expect companies to line up and say, "Mary, you genius, please take our money." That did not happen. Mary tried to sell or license her invention, but companies were not interested. One firm rejected it, saying they did not think it had enough commercial value. Commercial value for the thing that helps drivers see. That is like saying, umbrellas, rain probably will not catch on. Some people also worried that moving wipers might distract drivers, which is hilarious because apparently opening the window in snow, leaning outside, and wiping glass by hand was perfectly peaceful and focused. Mary had solved a real problem, but the market was not ready to admit it. To be fair, the world of 1903 was not the world of... That is the end of part 1. Mary Anderson has the idea, earns the patent, and still gets told, "No thanks, but do not drive away yet." In part 2, the world finally catches up.